Alright, hello, this is John Robin. This is actually the first writing video I've done where I actually am using my webcam here. And so many of you have been watching these videos, and I've just had voice. I thought I'd try video out. And because I have the video on, I have two cats watching me here, so there may be if you notice an interruption, I apologize for that. Anyway, I thought today that I would talk a little bit about the pros and cons of Scrivener versus Word. Inkshares is going to be holding a special event, a review-a-thon, and upcoming we're going to be giving away copies of Scrivener for Mac and PC. So I thought maybe I would do a demonstration and compare and contrast the two programs. So, and it's kind of fitting for me because I do work in both. I do my writing in Scrivener. See on I have this open here. Many of you who viewed these previous videos, I've already explained how I have basically my manuscript all in one Scrivener file, and I have these other tabs up here. This here is Window Tabs. It's a program I downloaded, so when I turn my computer on, I turn Window Tabs on, and what it allows me to do is I can have, these are all different Scrivener files. So I've already talked about that in the previous video, where I gave you a tour of Blood Dawn. But I wanted to maybe just talk a little bit about Scrivener itself today versus Word. Now, every Wednesday I revise my work. So I work with Author Accelerator, and that's a program where every week you submit a set number of pages to a pro editor. It's run through book coach Jenny Nash, and you can just, this is a great little typing board here, but Author Accelerator.com. Just type that in Google or in your address bar, and you should be able to go right to the website and check it out. If you're a writer, I definitely recommend this program. It's just a solid way to make sure the novel that you write, the final draft, is strong, and you don't end up with such a headache in revision that you end up giving up on it. I've written actually 3 novels. I like to think of them as complete. I revised the hell out of them. I polished. I submitted to numerous agents. I have lots of rejection letters. And you know, I really wish I had have heard of Author Accelerator before with those other novels. But that said, every writer goes through their own problems as they're trying to learn their craft. And I think it's actually great to write novels that totally fail, because that's how you learn. I mean, it hurts. It's kind of, you go through ups and downs. I certainly had my bouts of depression with that whole process, but nonetheless, it's got me to where I am now, and you know, the journey continues. So definitely recommend Author Accelerator. So what I do as part of my process with Author Accelerator is write my stuff every week, and then I submit my stuff in a Word document. So you'll see here I've got 2 things open. I'm actually a little behind this week, so I'm actually tackling my edits for last week and my edits for this week. The reason I allowed myself to get behind is because my editor's comments were that my writing was actually great. I'm right now in the very midst of the climax of the novel, and all these pieces are coming together. It's, again, the help of Author Accelerator and having that guidance and allowing me to pace myself has made the difference. I mean, I'm juggling lots of balls here at this part of the novel, and really that careful, meticulous approach has helped me make sure I don't screw everything up. So everything's just coming together. I'm very happy with it. So in order, every time I submit, I go in Word, and I also work in Scrivener. So because in order for Author Accelerator to give me comments, they need to do these little things here, or they use. Any of you are familiar with Word? You have the review feature. You can put track changes on here, which they do, and that means, as you'll see, like say I had a typo. I'm terrible at typos when I'm drafting. You know, they can fix it in line, or my editor Lizette can leave me some comments. So, I mean, this is actually where I've left off today. I'm going to be working through both this week and the previous week and this week's revisions. So, it, you know, allows me to kind of work in Word, and then I usually use Alt-Tab just to kind of quickly come back here. And because of these window tabs here, I really just have to Alt-Tab back into this manuscript. And then say if I need to quickly jump in and I have to check a world detail or something, you know, I just click on world and I've got my whole directory, my growing directory of world details. So, you know, for the most part when I'm doing revisions, I am just going back to the manuscript. Actually, a great example of where Author Accelerator helped me a lot is this week. I was so excited in this part of the climax where all this stuff is going down, and I missed a really, really obvious character interaction. I realized that I had made the mistake after I submitted. I woke up at 2 in the morning going, oh crap, how did I forget about that? And I'm being vague here. I don't want to give anything away. But sure enough, my editor asked the question, what about, why didn't you mention, I mean, the character's Manwin. Why didn't you mention Manwin? You put these two POV characters together, and, you know, so if I hadn't have realized that, Author Accelerator, that process helps me to just double check and make sure I don't rush to the end. And then I got to then go back and work in this huge layer to my story. So when I revise, I go back and forth between these things. And I thought since I'm talking about Scrivener versus Word, I would talk about the pros and cons. I mean, many of you are familiar with Word. It's a linear program. I really only use Word for things like this. I'm also a full-time freelance editor. I just recently restructured my business, so I now work with a team and manage that. I'm very familiar with this feature. I love Word for editing. I wouldn't go any other way, but I would never write a book again in Word. And the reason is because Word is linear. It's great for maybe sending content over where you can collaborate. I mean, Google Docs has the same thing. What I love about Google Docs is multiple users can share and be online. So, you know, we could have a little party on here. You know, I could have my cursor and I could see my friend's cursor blinking and say red or blue. And we could, you know, I've had a lot of fun using Google Docs. So Word doesn't really allow that, at least not that I know of. But it does allow you to make comments and inline changes. And so for me, I find this very useful. But the problem with writing something longer, I mean, I'm writing these giant epic fantasy books, and there'll be many more to come. It gets to the point where you want to go back to something that happened on page 230 something, and you're scrolling, or you maybe won't even know. You just know it happened earlier in some chapter, and good luck getting through all that. Scrivener, on the other hand, if I can pull this up here, I can divide all my chapters and scenes up into their own files. So you'll see here I got this color-coded. This is my novel, Blood Dawn, as it's evolved over time. So all these things that are color-coded are scenes. So let's maybe go back here and I can just show you. See how I click one? And that's a scene. This is the opening arena scene, the very beginning of it. And you know what I did with very well developed chapters is I split them up. The reason I split them up is because, for example, let's take the opening Rena chapter. Rena is weaving. This is sort of the audition. She's in front of the nobles. She's worried, and she's trying to process, how did I get here? What did I do wrong? Right? This is the weaving scene. And then there's a dialogue. She's done weaving, uncle comes in, the other nobles, her brother, Skippy, they all have this interaction. And so really, you know, this scene kind of has two parts to it. It doesn't make sense for me to have it all as one chunk, because if I want to go back to the specific weaving part and I know something happens there, I could just click it and I'm here. There's no scrolling. Whereas if I had this all in one long document, I got to scroll through and find it. And then we're right back to the same reason why Scrivener is far better than Word for writing. It allows you to break things down and basically you click to where you want to go rather than scroll and guess. Yes, you could always use the search feature, you know, or in Word, you know, or just get it here, you know, click find. There you go. Type in whatever you want. And you might remember a spot. Maybe you use the word magenta. Okay, great, magenta, and you can fly through your manuscript and find it. But I mean, for me, that's not very efficient. I just find it jars with my creative process. Definitely, I used it starting out, but like I said, I'll never go back. So, you know, like this, you'll see I've divided other chapters up later in the novel, just because I'm at the point now where the momentum is just too much. You can't keep on top of it anymore, and I'm more concerned with driving forward. You'll see that I have, you know, various chapters, like this is, say, the 6th arena chapter. It's all one long thing. I haven't broken it up yet. But that's because, like I said, the forward momentum, I'm not worried about that. But I will, at a later point, divide it up. One little quick thing I just noticed as I open this up here. Where were we? There we go. Yeah, you'll see here it's all in blue. I have Scrivener allows you to do this cool thing. I think Word does it too, but you can just right-click on this letter here, and you can color code. And I've actually used this for revision. Sometimes I've had to go over multiple times to the same chapter and add in new text, and I usually use blue just to tell me this was added after I submitted to Author Accelerator. And I've also used it other times. My short story, One Who Waits. Okay, I thought I had the original file. Where would it be? Yeah, I don't know what I thought I had the original file of this. I'm sure I do have it somewhere. I had when I was developing this. Right now, this is formatted for the published version, so that's why the font is different. But I had it actually color coded. One of my editor's comments for One Who Waits was that it was very introspective, and it felt a lot of times like there was no tension. So what I actually did is I went through this whole story, and I picked red as my color, and I highlighted everywhere where there was something that referred to Ella. Ella, the character in the story, his fear of what was happening. So he was aware of his present. And what I did through that is I realized, you know, there was not a lot of red. And so what I did is I made sure that there was a lot of red. And that technique really helped me. You can, of course, do this in Word. I'm sure, you know, it's not that Word doesn't allow, you know, here's your letter. So it's not something that Word can't do. But it's something that, I don't know, I find Scrivener is just designed in a certain way. It's a bit like a playground. I find I get much more creative. It's the people that designed this literature latte, they sort of understand the psychology of writers. And of course, in my using Scrivener, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you can do. You can actually go online to the various tutorials. Just open up my tabs here. You'll see when I work, I always have all these windows open. I like to sort of multitask. That's sort of my preferred way to work. But yeah, you know, you can go to scrivener.com. Oh, apparently there's another Scrivener that's an insurance company. Let's just try searching Scrivener. It'll come up in the search results. There we go, literature latte. So you can go here. This is the Scrivener website, so literatureandlatte.com, that's the URL. And they have, there's a forum here. So if you join Scrivener, you can ask any question you want and people will help you out. Back when I was figuring out this system here, I actually used to have Blood Dawn all in one file. I've mentioned that in a previous video. When I was figuring out how to break it up, I was really looking at all the options, and ultimately I figured this out myself. I found window tabs, and that helped solve my problem. But I went into this literature and latte forum, and they helped me out. They helped me to really explore the options and look at some of the features on Scrivener. As it turns out, a lot of the ways to do it just using Scrivener itself were not really conducive to my method of thinking and organizing. There's a lot of clicking, a lot of drop menus and stuff. Like I looked into some of the things they had mentioned, and it was too complicated for me. But again, the beauty of Scrivener is you can start with just a note, and I mentioned that's how my process evolved. I started just with a single note, this Rena chapter, and I just wrote, and then I put at the end, at the end here, I don't even think I called it tail. I just had notes at the end, and they evolved and made their own file, and it just kind of grows organically. Like I said, the people that designed this program did it in a way that's very friendly to writers, and I would encourage you to just open up a project. They have like the novel template, and you'll have a bunch of blank files that'll appear, and it's pretty easy to use. I will be happy to answer more questions if you have any in the comments. It would also be kind of neat if maybe in my Blood Dawn does have a sequel. When I write it, I might be a little more hands-on and show how the sequel evolves from that one file. So yeah, if you're a fantasy writer, especially this program's useful because of the ability to kind of have these multiple Scrivener projects. The way it allows you to organize into directories, like these are all just notes, but as I went along, like I had religions, and eventually I had a lot of details on these particular religions, so I made my own file for them, and I put that file underneath, sort of like putting it inside of a folder. And then let's say like the riverways, if I developed a lot about the riverways, and maybe like even there's this, they follow this this book, I think it's just called The Words. Where is it? See, this is where this is helpful. A lot of times I don't remember details when I make them up, so I write them down and make sure I always reference. But yeah, okay, so the three legends. The Words is from a different religion. So let's say I started writing all these details about the three legends. Then I would eventually just make my own file, and I would put it inside here. And we would have like a subdirectory, like maybe I'll just do this as an example right now. Let's just, call it, what did it say? Three legends. And so let's just clear this and say, I'm going to delete this, of course, it's just a demonstration, but yeah, so there you go. I just put it inside here. And now anytime I get details on the three legends, they're going to go in here. And then I can go back to Riverways, and I could actually delete the three legends. I like to keep everything I do. Not that I'm going to write about the three legends for a while, but why don't I just keep this note in here, as I would say, actually I don't need to say anything, because right in here I've got three legends. This is now more cursory, and I have three legends here. So now if I were to get details about the three legends, I can just add them here instantly. Normally I don't create subdirectories unless they're needed. I'm just going to keep this since I've created it and I'm doing it for demonstration. But my general rule, and it's great for world builders, you dump your information and you can organize it as needed. As you write, you continue to add and reference. And it's such a great system for organizing information. I know people that use Scrivener for nonfiction and research, and it's just this idea of creating notes. Just imagine you have these are all Word files that can be as big as you want. You can break them up. you know, something really cool, like let's say if I wanted to split this, I hit Control and K. On the Mac, I believe it's Command K, but let's say I hit Control K. Suddenly, I create a second file that splits right where I had the cursor, and you'll notice the previous one ends here. So I just split these in half. I'm not sure how to I think there is an easy way to undo it. Let's just see if undo will do it. Nope. Undo, I think, just functions within the window. I could, you know what, if another time I would probably just Google how to undo this, but, you know, it's easier for me to just do this. Go back in and delete. So delete, you hit Shift and delete, and it's gone. It goes into the trash bin down here. So, yeah, that's how I use this program. So the purpose of this video today was really not to show you how I revise, because how I revise is pretty straightforward. I really just go over my editor's notes and I answer any questions she might have and make sure I elaborate accordingly. But I wanted to take some time to talk about Scrivener versus Word and just why this is such a great program. I'm sure that'll be a background theme to all the videos that I do. So please do leave me comments if you enjoyed this video, or if you have more questions about Scrivener, even if it's just things you want me to talk about next time. I'm probably not going to do writing videos for a little bit. I want to make sure I'm at the point in Blood Dawn where there's a lot of things that are getting revealed and a lot of things happening that I really don't want to spoil by accident. Even if you don't care and you read it anyway, it might change how you interact with the book later on, and I don't want to do that. So I am kind of, as much as I do sometimes like to share some things with friends, I do like to really make sure that the novel doesn't get spoiled by knowing things that are going to happen. So I'll try to be creative with these videos and maybe focus on things that don't interfere with that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that was all I wanted to do today. Talk about the pros and cons of Scrivener, where you could get help, how it is for world building, and where you can get it. There's so much you can do with it. I think sometimes though that can make Scrivener less appealing to writers. I know for me, I stayed away from Scrivener because people showed it to me and it just seems so complicated and way more difficult than it had to be, and that really turned me away from it. I don't like the idea of like all these functions that just suddenly take me away from storytelling. Now, because that's just me. I get confused by this stuff. Maybe some people that gets them going, and that's great. That's the power of Scrivener. It's designed so that if you are that kind of person that likes to just have notes all over the place and cork boards and split scenes and functions that, like, I've even heard people that download things where their screen will start to turn red and a scary scene will flash if they don't write anything within like 2 minutes or something. Like, there's all these things you could get for Scrivener that make the writing experience more interactive. But if you're very traditional and you're the type of person that probably would stick to Word, you can still get a lot out of Scrivener. It's very intuitive, and I mean, look at what I managed here. I didn't follow tutorials. I just learned as I went, and this all evolved just from basically following the rabbit hole. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you like this, please click like, and do subscribe to my channel. I will be putting videos out roughly every week. Not exactly, but I'll try. I usually try on weekends to get something, and if I don't, I'll follow up. And I'm not going to publish every video that I make. Some of them turn out horrible. Unfortunately, my cats went to sleep, so the video today doesn't have to get discarded. Okay. All right. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.